Have you ever heard the whispers about Antarctica? Stories of a massive snow-covered pyramid dismissed by mainstream science as just a mountain. Well, in 2025, a privately funded expedition led by the brilliant but controversial Dr. Eris Thorne decided to settle the debate once and for all. They brought with them a new piece of technology, a quantum resonance scanner, capable of peering through miles of ice and stone, revealing not just structure, but energy signatures. What they found wasn't just terrifying, threatened to rewrite everything we thought we knew about our own history. The story really begins back in 1947, with Admiral Richard Byrd's infamous Operation High Jump. The official report called it a naval training exercise, but Byrd's private journal, leaked decades later, told a different story. He wrote of flying objects that could move from pole to pole at incredible speeds and a vast hidden land beyond the ice. He was publicly discredited, labeled a fantasist, but a few believed him. One of them was a young historian named Evelyn Reed. Evelyn dedicated her life to Byrd's last cryptic warning. He spoke of an ancient civilization, a progenitor race, who left behind a warning beacon at the bottom of the world. She spent decades poring over ancient texts, from Sumerian tablets to Egyptian papyri. She found a recurring theme: a silent god from the south, a keeper of knowledge who fell into a deep slumber after a great cataclysm. Evelyn believed this silent god wasn't a deity, but a technology, and its resting place was the Antarctic pyramid. Fast forward to 2025. Dr. Thorne's team, huddled in their mobile command center against the howling Antarctic winds, finally activated the scanner. On the main screen, an image began to form. It wasn't a mountain. It was a perfect four-sided pyramid, far larger than Giza's, its angles mathematically flawless. The team gasped, but the real shock came moments later. The scanner detected an internal structure, a network of vast chambers and corridors, and at its very center, a power source, pulsing with a low, steady energy that the system couldn't identify. It was ancient, yet undeniably active. Thorne, ever the skeptic, ordered a deeper scan. "I want to know what's inside," he commanded, his voice tight. The scanner focused on the central chamber. The resolution sharpened. It wasn't a machine, not in the way we understand it. It was organic. The scans revealed a colossal being, humanoid in shape but easily 100 feet tall, sitting in a throne-like chair. It was perfectly preserved, seemingly in a state of suspended animation. The energy source was emanating directly from it. One of the younger technicians, a woman named Lena, a student of Evelyn Reed's work, noticed something else. The energy wasn't just a simple pulse. It was a complex data stream, a repeating signal. It was a message. For days, Lena worked tirelessly, cross-referencing the signal's patterns with ancient languages and mathematical constants. It was a slow, agonizing process. Meanwhile, the world's governments, having detected the expedition's unsanctioned activities, were in an uproar. Communications were jammed. The team was completely on their own. Then, Lena broke the code. Her face was pale as she turned to Dr. Thorne. "It's not a beacon," she whispered. "It's a prison, and the being inside. It's the warden." The message told a story from a time before humanity. The progenitor race, masters of genetics and energy, had faced an enemy they couldn't defeat, a parasitic, non-physical consciousness that fed on fear, chaos, and despair. It hopped from species to species, planet to planet, inciting wars and driving civilizations to self-destruct. Feasting on the resulting negative energy, the progenitors couldn't destroy it, so they devised a plan. One of them, their most powerful telepath, volunteered for an unthinkable sacrifice. He would act as a psychic cage, drawing the entity into his own mind and holding it there for eternity. They built the pyramid around him, a massive device designed to amplify his mental fortitude and keep him in a state of perpetual stasis. The energy pulse wasn't a signal to the outside world. It was an internal mechanism, a constant low-frequency hum designed to keep the entity dormant, to keep the warden asleep. The terrifying part of the scan results wasn't just the existence of this cosmic prisoner. It was what the scanner showed happening in the present moment. Over the last century, as humanity's wars grew deadlier, our societies more divided, and our collective anxiety reached a fever pitch, the energy signature of the prison had started to fluctuate. The constant hum was developing, an arrhythmia. Our own global negativity was feeding the entity inside, weakening the warden's hold. The scans showed the prisoner was beginning to stir. The pyramid wasn't just a tomb, it was a dam, and it was starting to crack. Suddenly, Admiral Byrd's mission made sense. He wasn't attacked by aliens. He stumbled upon a fail-safe system, guardians tasked with protecting the prison. Evelyn Reed hadn't been chasing a god. She had been trying to warn us about a devil. And Dr. Thorne's expedition, with their powerful scanner, had done the one thing the progenitors never anticipated. Their quantum resonance beam, interacting with the pyramid systems, was like a jolt of electricity. It was waking the warden up. On the screen, the energy spikes went wild. The being's life signs began to activate, but it wasn't a gentle awakening. It was a struggle. The team realized their horrifying mistake. By trying to see what was inside, they had started the process of a jailbreak millennia in the making. If the warden woke up fully, his concentration would break. The entity would be free, unleashed upon a world already primed with the fear and division it craved. It would be an extinction-level event, not of body, but of soul. In that moment of shared terror, Dr. Thorne, the man of logic and facts, looked at Lena, the woman of history and belief. All their theories and ambitions were meaningless. They were faced with a single, profound choice. The progenitors had made a sacrifice based on compassion. Now it was their turn. "Shut it down," Thorne ordered, his voice cracking. "Shut everything down." Now the team scrambled, cutting power to the scanner, the lights, everything. They plunged their command center into the dim Antarctic twilight, leaving only the essential life support running. They sat in silence, staring at the blank screen, their hearts pounding in the sudden quiet. Had they been fast enough, days turned into a week. They had no way of knowing what was happening inside the pyramid. They could only wait, isolated, and reflect on what they had discovered. They weren't just a scientific team anymore. They were keepers of the world's most terrifying and important secret. They realized humanity wasn't the pinnacle of creation, but a young species living in the shadow of an ancient cosmic act of love and sacrifice. When the rescue team finally broke through, they found the expedition members changed. They were quiet, humbled. They classified their data, buried the report under layers of national security, and told the world the pyramid was, as suspected, just a strangely shaped mountain. They knew the truth was a burden humanity wasn't ready for. The story doesn't end with a bang, but with a quiet, profound realization. The progenitor's gift wasn't technology or knowledge, it was time. Time for humanity to grow, to overcome its own divisions, its own fears. The pyramid isn't a threat. It's a reminder. It's a testament to the idea that the greatest act of power isn't domination, but sacrifice. And that the most important battle isn't fought with weapons, but with compassion, unity, and hope. The fate of our world doesn't rest in an ancient prison under the ice. It rests within each of us in the choices we make every single day. Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, please consider liking and subscribing. Every little bit helps us bring more stories like this to light. Stay curious.